Competitive ruling. Carlos Rodriguez. Carlos Rodriguez engaged in activity detrimental to the best interest of the league in Riot Games in violation of the LEC rules. Consequently, he is suspended from holding any managerial or operational position with a team or organization in a Riot-sanctioned competition or participation therein until November 13th, 2022. In addition, Carlos Rodriguez is required to complete 1, sensitivity training, and 2, executive training as detailed below. The training must be provided by an independent third party that is unaffiliated with G2 Esports, the league, or Carlos Rodriguez. Timeline. Facts. On September 17th, 2022, Carlos Rodriguez posted a tweet with a video showing himself at a celebration with Andrew Tate, stating, "Yesterday, we celebrated G2's World Championship." The tweet rapidly garnered attention because of the views expressed by Andrew Tate, which have been described as extreme misogyny by the public press. In a follow-up tweet, Carlos Rodriguez posted, "Nobody will ever be able to police my friendships. I draw my line here. I party with whoever the fuck I want." On September 18th, 2022, G2 Esports announced that its supervisory board had mutually agreed with Carlos Rodriguez that he would take 8 weeks of leave as CEO and suspend his earnings during that time. In view of the above, on September 19th, 2022, the League of Legends European Championship Limited opened an investigation. This resulted in the opening of formal disciplinary proceedings against Carlos Rodriguez on September 20th for having potentially breached the LEC 2022 season open rules, or official rules. Carlos Rodriguez was invited to submit his statement on the above described facts, which he did on September 27th. Article 9.2.5 of the League of Legends European Championship 2022 season official rules states, team managers and members may not give, make, issue, authorize, or endorse any statements or action having, or designed to have, an effect prejudicial or detrimental to the best interest of the league, Riot Games, or its affiliates, or League of Legends, as determined in the sole and absolute discretion of the league. By publicly associating on social media Andrew Tate, known for his misogynistic views, with himself, G2 Esports and the LEC Carlos Rodriguez engaged in activity which was detrimental to the best interest of the league and Riot
If your
Games.
phone gets stolen and you were not robbed at gunpoint, you should just admit that you lost your phone. Copium, copium.
Okay. Pretty cut and dry. Not sure how anyone could argue with the reasoning for the punishment. One of the things that I don't like is how, I think there's a name for this in philosophy. Is it called like a second agent problem or like a third party agent problem? There's like, I wonder what the structure of this would be. If this is like a grammatical, no, there's a concept here. So let's say that I have a rule in my charter. I have a rule in my charter. Let's say this rule says, you shall not punch. This is a rule that it's like self-contained, doesn't rely on any third party to say something has happened. It just is what it is. If you punch somebody, then you are, then you get in trouble. Oh, principal agent problem. I don't. That's what I was thinking, but I don't think that's it. I don't know why I was thinking that. There's got to be some other name for this, okay? But this is fine, okay? Now, this is a thing, okay? Now we're gonna do like a level 1 abstraction from this, okay? We're gonna do a level 1 abstraction. We're gonna change this Am I going to be able to spell this? Is aggression with 2 G's? Aggressive. Yeah. Now we're going to change this to you shall not act aggressively. Now, this is still like a self-contained thing. It's a little bit harder now because it's open a little bit to interpretation, right? You shall not act aggressively. Okay. It's a little bit more vague than you shall not punch, but whatever. You can kind of argue, you can kind of fight around this. It's not the worst thing in the world, and it's understandable, right? You can't have like a specific rule for everything. If somebody kicks somebody and you're like, oh, well, you just said we shouldn't punch and I kicked him. It's like, okay, well, now we need something more vague. There's this next level of abstraction that is much harder. And it's like, it's, where's the text tool? I'm not typing all this out. It's this thing. Really? You're not going to automatically up the size? We have like another level of abstraction here where it's like, you shall not act in a manner in which the public may perceive you to be aggressive. Now, for the first rule, you shall not punch. That's boom, crystal clear, to the point. It's all within us. I understand. Now, first level abstraction, you shall not act aggressively. Okay, a little bit more vague. I understand the vagueness, though. You need to be able to enforce rules that might be on the edge. You need a little bit of discretion. You need to be able to cast a wider net to catch people that might be acting in bad faith. Okay, sure. But something strange happens in this third one where you shall not act in a manner in which the public may perceive you to be aggressive. When you open up what should or shouldn't be allowed to public perception, you've actually created a world where, because you have this outside, it's not a self-contained, you have an outside party that's influencing how you're making decisions. You have no accountability to yourself, and the rules are blown open to whatever the f you want them to be. And it no longer becomes fair to say like, oh, well, the rules are crystal clear. Bullshit. The rules now mean nothing. Like, this doesn't mean anything anymore. So for a real life example, Riot has a thing saying, by publicly associating on social media Andrew Tate, known for his misogynistic views, with himself, G2 Esports, and the LEC, Carlos Rodriguez engaged in an activity which was detrimental to the best interests of the league and Riot Games. Well, what's detrimental to the best interest of League and the Riot Games, or of League and Riot Games? It's whatever the public gets mad about. Now, this guy here says, oh, pretty cut and dry. Well, is it pretty cut and dry? Let's say that tomorrow, for whatever reason, 51% of society became racist. They started hating black people. And then let's say that a manager came out and they started listening to Kanye West. And then there was a huge public uproar against it. Why are you listening to N-word music? Why are you listening to black people music? Why are you doing this? Now, in that world, Riot would have every right to cut themselves off from that person listening to rap music because it's now detrimental to the company. But do you see, you haven't actually written a good rule here. You haven't written anything that, one, we're way away from being like moral or principled. You haven't even written a good rule for your own people to follow, because you've smuggled in this like little clause that basically allows external parties to influence what's going to be enforced, you know? Yeah, it's just really annoying because people are like, oh, well, that's cut and dry. It's not cut and dry at all. The guy didn't really do anything like that. It looked like by the letter of the rules, it was bad. It seemed like what he did, the bad thing that he did, was he got public backlash that was negative. That's the issue. Isn't this rule good for the company, though? Bad for the employees, but lets them drop people who are controversial? Yeah, sure, it could be. You can argue that, of course, the rule is good for the company. It gives the company basically unlimited discretion to do whatever they want. But the issue is that I'm just saying that it's stupid when people are like, oh, well, it's obvious he broke the rules. It's not obvious he broke the rules. What do you mean? This is the most vaguest shit in the fucking world. Like, You engaged in an activity that was detrimental to the best. Was it really detrimental? Are there really people that are going to not watch this LEC shit? Are there really people that are not going to watch League or play League because one of the managers of one of the teams in one of your leagues took a fucking Twitter video of Andrew Tate? That sounds impossible. I don't believe it. I don't believe that. Like, a lot of people in here need to grow up. Due to League franchising, he had to sign an industry standard entertainment contract. He breached the contract and got punished. This is the issue with the way they've worded it. And I guess the sad thing is to see like how stupid people are. It goes back to that principled thing, right? Like, hey, what if now I think in the United States it's illegal, so it might not be the same thing. I think in the US union busting is illegal, but like, let's say that you bust unions doing everything you're legally allowed to do. Like, oh yeah, well, if I don't like the way you are at my workplace, I can fire you for any reason I want. Well, not any reason, as long as it's a protected class reason. But like, you fire people, these same people would not come here and be like, well, hold on, Amazon was acting completely legally when they decided to let go and shut down that entire plant full of people that also wanted to unionize. Like, Amazon had the right to do that. They wouldn't be saying that. They'd be like, this is bullshit, we need to change the rules, blah, 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 blah. Like, people only... This is what I don't like, okay? You have like the rules, and then you have people's like personal preferences. And anytime they overlap, people will say like, we have to follow the rules, right? You have a set of personal preferences, and then you've got like the rules. And anytime these two things overlap, you're like, look at the rules, look at the rules, look at the rules. But if we go too far off into here where the rules start saying some shit that you disagree with, you're like, hold on, this is bullshit, this is bullshit, this is bullshit. And these are always good. These are always whatever. I just hate when we're stuck in this middle ground. It's like, bullshit, you don't give a fuck about the rules here. You absolutely don't give a fuck about this. You like, yeah, that whole appeal to like, well, it's in the contract. Like, you know what else Riot tried to put in their contract was that players that stream League of Legends weren't allowed to stream any other game. That would have been in the contract too, you know? I don't know, it's just... I hear this so much now whenever anyone gets banned too, like the meme counter to the conservatives about free speech doesn't apply to business. Like, yeah, of course, but the argument conservatives are having is that the rules are shit. Yeah, that too. Oh, it's not free to speech, yeah. Or when I get banned from Twitter, people are like, oh, well, that's the rules. Like, you're ban evading. Yeah, so is Keffel, so is Gay's Fesh. Like, half of these motherfuckers are all ban evading. But if Keffel's got perma-banned from Twitter, or her account got nuked for ban evading, which it could be, if her account got nuked for ban evading, like, how many of her same followers can be like, you know what, that's fair. Keffel's is ban evading from 2 prior banned accounts. Maybe she should be like, no, they wouldn't give a fuck, right? It's kind of like the, it's unironically it's the Joker speech to Batman, in The Dark Knight when he's talking about how like, oh, people have their morality, but they drop it when, I don't remember. I'm sure Fuentes has it memorized.
Their morals, their code. It's a bad joke. Dropped at the first sign of trouble.
But it's like the same type of thing. Like, people pretend they have like a certain set of rules as long as it's convenient to them when it lines up with their preferences. But as soon as those two things diverge, the rules. Is the Gayest Fesh dude ban evading? I thought the Gay Fesh account wasn't actually. I'm pretty sure it was him. One thing that is reasonable is to say the CEO didn't show good judgment, which is unbecoming of an executive. However, beyond the company firing him, all the extra I don't know if he didn't show. I think it was hard for him to know. Was it really reasonable for him to assume that if he posted like a 6-second video with Andrew Tate and like 2 seconds of the shot, that the backlash would be that much? It's kind of hit or miss. It's kind of random. I know that you guys in chat like to pretend that like, oh, it's so obvious that would happen. But like, it's not really obvious at all. You really never know who's going to get nuked and who's not. You have no idea. It's easier to retrospect, like, oh, you should have done that. Obviously. No, it's not obvious. You have no idea. Like, Jesus. Like, there was so much like random shit that could happen that you guys like the next day would be like, obviously. Like if tomorrow like I got permabanned from YouTube and it was like and the reason why I was like, oh, he associated too much with Sneeko. Like, I feel like half the shit were like, oh yeah, obviously if you have Sneeko on your channel and associate with him, you're gonna get permabanned. Like, it's not obvious. You have no idea. That's part of the whole reason of like why I don't want to say like cancel culture, but one of the obnoxious things about all the rules of these platforms is you really don't know what you can or can't do. You really have no idea. Like, look at that whole private Twitch guide that just released for moderation for the strike guide or whatever. Why the fuck wouldn't they make that available to partners? Why not show me clear-cut examples of like, this is allowed and this isn't allowed, this is okay and this is like, that seems like it'd be really valuable for people to have. If they worded the contract how it really is of, we drop people who get too much public backlash, do you think the public would be okay with it? I don't know, maybe. I mean, they're okay with whatever because they don't like Andrew Tate. I was talking about his tweets doubling down with the whole, I can hang out with whoever I want. Yeah, maybe he shouldn't have said that, sure, but that's not why he got in trouble. That's not why, right? Now you're doing the thing where, like, this has happened to me before. It's one of the reasons we have to be so careful. And you retards fall into this trap constantly, and it's so fucking annoying to watch even you guys do this. To where, like, somebody will walk up to you, and they'll rape you 27 times. They'll bring all of your friends to rape you 27 times. And while you're laying there, like, bloody and fucking destroyed and ruined or whatever, you get up or whatever, and then some guy comes out and you call him, like, a racial slur or something. And then everybody comes down on you for it, and like, oh my God, this is why you're in trouble, and this is why you deserve everything that's happened to you because you did this thing. And it's like, wait, hold on, this happened after all the other shit. There have been so many times where I've been caught in like certain dramas, and like after the canons have gone back and forth like 55 fucking times, then I'll end up saying something like dumb or whatever, and now all the focus is like, oh well, the reason why everybody did all those things back then to you is because of what you just did now. It's like, wait, what the fuck? You guys fall into this so many times. I see it happen to you guys. It was so fucking annoying to deal with it. But from a public figure perspective, yeah, I'm sure there are people saying, oh, well, it's because of how he responded as a CEO. Bullshit. If you say that you're a fucking retard, you shouldn't comment on anything at all. Nothing about this had to do with because of his response. It had to do because he hung out with Andrew Tate. Like, if it would have been another person and there was like a minor backlash to it, and he'd be like, I can hang out with whoever I want. No one's going to police my friendships. Nobody would give a fuck. It's not because of his response. It's because of his response to Andrew Tate. That's the reason why. My opinion, people in the league community already hate Carlos for context. Things like screwing out EU talent / players, contracts, great attitude, they jump on any chance piling up, sure. The N-word drama was because Denims wanted an out from the drama of fucking in your bed. True. Of breaking into my house, letting somebody else in, and fucking all over my bed for a day and a half, like the autistic fucking
will you
dipshit she
remove the
was.
rule for banning people for any reason on your subreddit then?
No, banning people from a particular, like, area of a social media is not the same as banning somebody from social media. I don't know how people don't understand this. This is the same argument conservatives make when you're like, I think that, like, we should have, like, more lax immigration. Oh, yeah? Would you let an illegal immigrant sleep in your bed every single night? What about 5,000 of them? You want to have 5,000 new immigrants in America, but you wouldn't let all of them live in your house? Well, aren't you a fucking hypocrite? Like, no, what the fuck? Like, just because I don't think you shouldn't be banned from, like, fucking Reddit for calling somebody retarded, that doesn't mean I don't think individual subreddits shouldn't be able to ban you. The individual subreddits can ban for whatever they want. Or Twitter people can mute you or ignore you. Or Facebook pages can ban you. But there's a difference between being banned from, like, a section on a page or a section on a social media website versus being banned from the entire social media website. It's a completely and fundamentally totally different thing.
Yes.
Their morality, but they drop it when, I don't remember the fucking, I'm sure Fuentes has it memorized.
I'm sort of like going up to somebody and I'm like, you say the N-word. I like that. And Destiny's like, you're gonna love me. You're gonna love me.